Yes, we are number 7.
Yep.
My number 7 is not a thrash album.
No. Kick-ass album, though.
German heavy metal band Accept lost their singer. And Udo, UDO actually is what the name of the band is, UDO. And they put
Is
out...
that how he refers to it? UDO?
UDO, yeah.
Oh, I was called it Udo.
See, it's got the periods UDO. That's what it is.
What's it stand for?
Udo.
It doesn't stand for nothing.
It doesn't for anything, yep. But this is an Accept album. I mean, this sounds so much like Accept, and there's a reason for that. Most of the songs were written by Accept. Yep.
Did any of the guys play on this?
No, I don't think any of the original guys played on this. I think it was mostly guys from Warlock that played on this.
Oh, okay.
So you got Matthias Dietz on guitars. I don't even Thomas Frank on drums. I think all those guys were in Warlock. Regardless, sounds like an Accept album because it was written by Accept.
Not to mention the fact they have Accept singer, which is there a more characteristic, recognizable voice than Udo in metal?
This whole album, yeah, exactly. This whole album is great, though. I actually think this was better than the Accept album that preceded it, which was Russian Roulette.
Okay.
And I definitely think it was better than what Accept put out with American singer David Reese.
Which was...
Eat the Heat.
Okay.
But...
I kind of...
And I'm not saying I don't like those albums. I like Russian Roulette. I like
point.
Eat the Heat. I think the song Ecstasy off of Eat the Heat is brilliant. Again, UDO actually covered that song some years later. I'm like, now that's what it should have sounded like. Nothing against David Reese, because that guy's a phenomenal singer.
But it's just already had a pretty damn deep recognizable
And they were trying
sound.
they were trying to do with Accept like they did with Loudness in the late '80s, where they were trying to get him to sound American. Let's make it sell more albums if we can make them sound American.
And I think they started that process with Metal Art.
Yeah, and it just didn't work for them. It didn't work for Loudness either, really.
No. Although, yeah, I mean, there's some cool stuff that they did.
No, that's some cool stuff, but it didn't break them into, like, they didn't become megastars.
No.
They were trying to push them up to that next level, and it just didn't happen for them.
It's like, God, man, just write music and put it out and let people listen to it and stop being assholes, you know? Stop trying to hype the fuck out of everything, and it kills things. That's when you get stupid albums that come out because bands are under pressure to fucking perform. And
they're under pressure to put out hits and to sound like everybody else, like Raven, The Pack is Back.
Exactly.
I mean,
and so many big bands went through it. I mean, Kiss went through it for like a decade. And so many of them, and it's just like, man, I know some of them did it to themselves, but
yeah, some of them did.
It's just like, man, that's what I love about today and how the record industry has kind of been, for the most part, dismantled. Yeah.
Now it's all small labels and small runs, and
but like with the advent of Bandcamp and the whole digital universe, I mean, I'm actually able to hear bands that I never would have had a chance to before.
Sure.
And they're decent. And are they huge? And are they rocking the world? No.
But who cares?
But they're rocking my world. And that's all I care about.
That's the thing is with me, like even like I'll take an autograph on a record. I'm just as happy to like meet some gigantic band I've loved all my life as to meet some smaller known band that I've actually got Randy's autograph on stuff.
I've got Scott's.
So if I like the music, I like the music. That's all there is to it. It doesn't matter how big they are.
Right, exactly. So. I mean, I treat the guys that are on my label that way. To me, they're all stars. You know, because otherwise I wouldn't be working with them. Yep. You know.
Without Accept, Defeat, and our management, this album would not have been possible. So, and it's a great album. If you like Accept, and I've never heard this, you need to hear it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Udo has.
There's just not a bad song on here. Every song, I can't even say the titles without thinking of the choruses. That's how they are.
Yeah.
So,
Udo has done. I mean, he's like Halford status. He's done that much for metal in his way, for sure.
Halford, Dio, he's just up there.
Oh hell yeah, he's definitely in the Parthenon for sure.
Oh yeah, and even if you want to say thrash metal, I think Accept for one of the huge influences on it. I mean,
absolutely.
With Restless and Wild and Fast as a Shark.
I mean, I remember my heaviness kind of meter. To me, in like '82, Anvil was the heaviest thing I'd ever heard, like metal on metal. Oh, and then I heard Restless and Wild. Like, holy crap!
That double bass, that relentless double bass,
and
then
shortly after that is when Kill 'Em All came out.
Yep.
So it just, Udo, Accept, they have my respect, undying.
Okay.
All right, my number 7. Well,
Your number 6.
6? Oh, okay.
Yep, and this is actually one, again, was on both our lists.
This was definitely a...
and this probably should be up higher in our list, but...
This was the second album from the 4-piece Motorhead.
Right? Yep.
Yeah, Orgasmatron was the first one. Now we got Rock and Roll in '87.
And I saw that store at a small club in Rochester, and it's actually right before the album came out, and as I walked into the club, they were handing out buttons and it said Animal is back.
Yeah, because Pete Gill was on the previous one.
Right.
From Saxon. But we got Wurzel and Phil Campbell. This is the first ever Motorhead 4-piece. And it was short-lived. It didn't last
Wurzel
too
lasted
long.
for almost 10 years.
Was it that long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he played on Sacrifice.
All I know is that Phil Campbell was there till the end at this point. Phil was in and out. Then when Mickey D finally came in, he was there to the end, which I think the final trio probably was the longest running.
Yeah, it was the longest running trio, yeah.
Yeah.
But regardless, 3 of these guys are gone.
Yes. The only one that's still kicking is Phil Campbell. He's doing his new thing, which is...
yeah, I forgot to.
Phil Campbell's something or other, Metal Dog Motherfuckers. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure you guys know.
That sounds like something you might call it.
Yeah. But I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. He's got a new band going. Lemmy Wurzel and Phil all gone. So what did we have on here? We had Eat the Rich.
Yes. That song did really well for them, I think.
Yes, they did. And from the movie of the same name, did you ever see it?
I don't think so.
I saw it as a midnight movie. I mean, it was nothing special, but it was cool because at the very end, well, watch it. I'm not going to get into that.
You know one of my favorite songs on there, or the intro that "Oh Lord," the part it's not on here. I'm
Which
pretty
one?
sure it is. Where the let's see, I can't remember now. Where he's doing the prayer.
Oh yes, I can't remember which one it is though.
He does. It's the guy from Monty Python. Oh Lord.
Not that. No, that's Princess
Bless these
Bride.
people from Motorhead. Please bless them with at least one more pair of trousers each. It's classic. I think it's Before the Wolf.
Okay. Rock and Roll, the title track, another great one. Stone Deaf in the USA, great cut. You don't really get bad songs on a Motorhead album. There's not really any clunkers.
I don't think so.
Because they're so damn, I think they're just as, if not more consistent than AC/DC, bands like that. I mean, it's just, you can always count on a Motorhead album.
I will say the production stepped up a bit on here too.
Probably.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing in the case of Motorhead.
True.
But, yeah.
Hey, you had Welcome Home, Filthy, and by the way, if you had a face like mine, you'd punch me right on the nose. And I'm just the guy to do it. That's got to be Lemmy.
Yeah.
So, who did we have producing this, I'm wondering?
I don't remember.
See, Eat the Rich was out before this came out. And
Yeah, it was a single for the movie.
Yep. Who produced it? Motorhead and Guy Bidmead. Okay, and Guy Bidmead engineered it. I don't know who Guy Bidmead is.
I don't either.
He engineered and produced this album.
All right, next one for me was huge for me in this year. Huge for me in this year, absolutely. Yep. And it's not thrash.
No, not even close.
But I can't even tell you how many times I listened to this album over and over and over.
And I didn't get into it till much later.
I drove my roommates nuts with this album because this guitar player was around for years putting out music and playing shows, and the name of this band was out, but they never could get a contract.
That's right.
Nobody wanted to sign them.
I've got a bootleg from '83.
Yeah.
Which is 4 years before this album came out.
So we're talking about
Frehley's Comet.
Comet first album.
Which technically, it's an Ace Frehley album called Frehley's Comet.
Right. He wanted to get away from being, he didn't want it to be a solo album. He wanted it to be a band album.
Right.
And it was. I mean, the next 2 albums were very much, a band album.
Yes. And Anton Fig's presence also makes this album special because
Oh,
he was all over Ace's first solo album.
Yep.
And he's just a killer drummer. David Letterman's drummer for years.
And it was thanks finally to John Zazula from Megaforce, where they finally, was able to get Ace a deal and get him something out. But yeah,
and it's a slightly different lineup from the band that had been together because like the original guitar player was Richie Scarlett. But here we've got Todd Howarth on.
Todd Howarth, who also played piano. And Todd Howarth was with everybody. He was with Ted Nugent. He did some of the more 80s, more.
Yeah.
He just has that.
So it's kind of like Ace and studio guys.
Sound,
but they look like a rock band.
And they were a band. They toured. This is the band that toured. The only one that actually jumped out for a while was Anton, because I guess he got the gig with
Yeah, with Letterman.
Letterman.
He was busy. I mean, and I don't remember who came in to replace him.
I don't either. It was Eric Clapton's drummer. I just remember him introducing it.
Was it?
Remember the live EP that came out after this? He actually introduced them. We got on loan from Eric Clapton group. Yeah,
oh, I don't remember that. That's cool.
But anyhow, the song "Rock Soldiers."
Yep.
I don't know. There was
great
something
tune.
about that song, man. I just couldn't stop
And
playing
then
it.
the Russ Ballard cover, "Into the Night."
Yep.
Great song.
Very good cover.
If Russ Ballard wrote it, it's
Well,
going
not
to be a
a
damn
cover,
cool
but-
song.
Was it a cover?
Yeah,
or
it is cover.
Yeah, it's cover.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we also got the follow-up to Fractured Mirror.
Fractured
2.
TOO.
Yep.
That
good.
was just the first two of what, like four
Four.
or five
I think
different
there's 4 of them.
versions,
Yep.
which were great. I mean, nothing was ever as great as Fractured Mirror.
Well, they actually
but-
sound great. If you take them all and you put them all together.
Yes.
It's one. You
Which
know, it's
I've
funny.
done.
I've read online all these people say that's one of the greatest soundtracks to having sex ever. Fractured.
Okay. I never really
I never
got
tried
that
it.
out of it. I did
never
do
tried.
Ravel's Bolero. That's a famous one. But I also thought the midsection of Queen's Get Down, Make Love was a good one too. But when I actually tried it, it's actually a bit faster than... It doesn't last very long.
Yeah. Frehley's Ace Frehley, Frehley's Comet.
Good
Fantastic
one.
album.
As far as Frehley's Comet albums, probably... It's for my favorites. It's between this and probably Trouble Walking.
Yeah, they're all.
I mean, the live EP was
Ace
cool.
is Ace.
but-
He's got a new album coming out this month.
Yes,
It's October.
Spaceman.
Spaceman. Yep.
Do you have Bronx Boy yet? The single?
single?
I haven't heard it yet. I gotta grab that.
It sounds like old school Ace. Ace sounds like that's one of the things about Ace.
It better.
Other than the second album, which was very AOR-ish,
Yeah, that one was a tough one to get into.
and I like some of it.
Yeah.
The acorn is spinning and that kind of stuff. Anyhow,
Yeah.
as usual, we're getting off on rabbit trails.
All right.
What are we on here? This is your number 5. We're on the top 5 now.
Yeah. This was... We were waiting for this one for a couple of years because we lost a major person.
Major Larry. Yeah.
Person of Cliff Burton. So 598 EP Garage Days Revisited was our first hearing of the new Jason Newkid, the new
Yep,
new
that's
band
what we called
member.
him.
Yeah, I wasn't disappointed. I friggin' loved this EP.
Yep. So did I when it came out.
In fact, all right. So it's 5 covers. 1, 2, 3, 6 technically. Helpless, the opener. They took another old Diamond Head, and they whipped it into shape big time. Because I love Diamond Head.
I've always said that. I always thought Metallica totally stole their sound from Diamond Head.
Oh, they totally did. Motorhead and Diamond Head.
Yep.
That's
it was the speed of Motorhead
Yep.
with the songwriting and the riffing of Diamond Head.
There's Seek and Destroy is almost a direct ripoff of Sucking My Love.
Yeah.
If you listen to the intros, Metallica makes it chunkier. It's not as fluid
Right.
as Diamond Head's was, but yeah, they totally ripped them off.
And it's not a bad thing. I mean,
No.
it made him famous.
No.
I mean, nobody here knew who Diamond Head was.
Yep. I mean, DT Seizure used to do Help Us, and we had a blast doing that song. Killer song. Then we had the Small Hours, which at the time, there's a new wave of British heavy metal band called Holocaust, and they didn't even have a studio recording of this album, of this
It was
song,
a live
of
recording.
their
right?
own. There's only a live one. With the royalty money they got from this, they were able to record their own version, I heard. So that's kind of cool, and that's a great tune. Small Hours may be my favorite cut on this. Then we had The Wait by Killing Joke, which I already dug Killing Joke, and they're one of my favorite bands of all time. Metallica definitely gave it a great treatment. Awesome version. We had Crash Course in Brain Surgery. A lot of people had never heard of or heard Budgie before. I hadn't before this, and I sought them out after this. Metallica definitely
87?
introduced me.
Yeah. I think that's probably how I
Yep.
got a hold of Budgie as well. Now I'm a huge Budgie fan.
Yep. I mean, and Last Caress, Green Hell. I had never heard the Misfits at this point. Another band I sought out because of Metallica. I was already into Diamond Head and Killing Joke, but Metallica introduced me to so many other bands, which I'm always grateful to them for that. They brought a lot of bands that were unknown into the limelight.
Metallica introduced me to Diamond Head too, but it wasn't this. It was the first Garage Days, Am I Evil? Yep.
I got into Diamond Head because I saw Dave Mustaine wearing a Diamond Head shirt when I saw them in
That's
'84.
right.
I was like, I want to check that band out. So I did. So I was already into Diamond Head anyway.
But now I got that riff stuck in my head. Right on.
It's like the Smoke on the Water of our generation. All right, 598p Metallica just recently got reissued. That was one of the big record store day things.
Yep. Number 5 for me is an album that many credit with starting a whole new genre of music, and I'm just going to show it.
Yep.
It's Death, Scream, Bloody Gore.
Look at the red foil on the...
Yeah, this is a recent reissue on Relapse. Man, those Relapse reissues. These are, if you like Death, this Relapse reissue sounds so much better than the original vinyl. I'm not sure what they did, but it sounds great.
Yeah, Relapse does a lot of great stuff. They did all that early Pentagram.
And I love how they... I like reissues that are done correctly. And this one is done correctly. I mean, they put some money into this. The artwork looks fantastic. You know, everything looks great. But anyhow...
and this was not one we had in common because you can hate me if you want. I've never heard Death. I've never heard them before. I know of them and I know of their contribution to metal, but I've never listened to them.
Yeah, and I love Death. And I remember it was 1987 again. I was working at Cabbage's, which is a record store in Rochester, and who is this band? You know, and my roommate came by the store and bought this record and brought it home, and we just loved it. It was so heavy, and they're calling it death metal now. But we didn't call it death metal back then.
No.
It was thrash.
It was the next step.
It was just thrash. I mean, we didn't hear it all that different than Crater, which had a couple albums out before this and stuff like that. But yeah, and these guys are generally credited with death metal, which you got the name Death, you got the more guttural vocals, you got the raw, heavy down-tuned guitars, but not down-tuned to where a lot of bands ended up.
Oh no.
I think maybe they were a half step down, maybe full down to D or something like that. But anyhow. Yeah, this is just a classic album, and this is the beginnings of death metal right here.
Second one?
This is their first album. This is their first full-length album.
I thought never mind.
Yeah, this is their first full-length album. So,
Scream Bloody Gore.
And of course, there's a few songs on here that are Scream Bloody Gore being one of them. Evil Dead, Baptized in Blood, Zombie Ritual. These are all songs that are they were like staples in their live for years and years. Regurgitated Guts.
I hate it when I regurgitate my guts.
But of course,
I thought it's torn to pieces. I thought it said something to feces.
But I mean, you can see. I mean, there's so many bands that you could put those titles in. Cannibal Corpse. It almost sounds like and I don't know. I just love Death, but this album is very raw. It's got that punk edge delivery to it. It's not super tight, super technical like they would become.
Right.
Kind of like early Voivod had that kind of raw sound. It's the same thing with Death. Those first 3 albums from Death with Leprosy and all those, they're more raw. They weren't super tight. They had that kind of looseness to them that gave them, like early Venom or early Raven records that had the looseness to them. That's kind of what you're going to get here. And but yeah, it's just great stuff.
So how many albums they do before Chuck died?
6 studio albums, I believe.
Okay.
Not including his other bands that he put out stuff with, and
I didn't know he was in
live albums. He was in he started a power metal band because he actually his last studio album with Death, the sound was so much more refined, and it was almost thrash metal, and the vocals were no longer the guttural thing. He was trying to sing.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
That's the one they did the Priest cover of Painkiller on.
I've never heard that. And
he pulled off a wicked vocal version of Halford, everything. Because I don't know if you know that song. It's Halford is like, bringing down the ceiling, and he pulled it off. And that's kind of what he was wanting to do.
We thought Priest was pretty much dead.
Yeah.
Turbo and Ram It Down came out, and we're like, well, I guess Priest are done. And I remember Painkiller video came out, and we're all sitting in front of the TV going, what the fuck?
Priest are back.
Oh yeah, in a big nasty way.
Anyhow, so yeah, Chuck wanted to go into that more straightforward heavy metal, or people call it power metal direction, and he formed his own band, and they put out one album, and they recorded the second album, which I think may be getting released or may have been released as bootleg. I don't know, but
now was he Chuck was lead vocals and lead guitar?
Yes. Yeah,
you don't see that a lot.
And the band changed members, and this actual. Some of the members from this band ended up making another very Massacre, right? Am I right? Someone will tell me if I'm right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember now.
Right at this point, we're like this.
Well, frankly, I can pull it open and look, but we're just running out of time.
Okay. All right. Yeah, now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. For sure.
This is your number 5.
My number 5.
No, and you're number 4. Sorry, you're on number 4.
4, 3, 2. Yep, this is number 4. All right. A little confusion here. in '87, I hadn't heard these guys yet, so I get into them like the next year. But this was the release that they had. 3-song EP by Saint Vitus, Thirsty and Miserable. This is the follow-up to Born Too Late, the year before.
The album I heard first.
Yep. 2 new Saint Vitus songs and 1 Black Flag cover, the title track, Thirsty and Miserable. Great stuff. I mean, again, Saint Vitus in their own way is very, very consistent. If you like slow, plodding doom, that's exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, they're on the SST label, so
Yep.
which was weird because they were...
Yeah, because SST was more of punk hardcore.
Which makes sense with the cover.
Right. I mean, but I always thought of Saint Vitus, they kind of had a punk ethic with the doom that they played. The other band that was kind of oddball, SST, was the Overkill from LA. Mm-hmm. Another kind of metal band.
Who became
SST.
Overkill LA.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, Saint Vitus. You guys know I love Saint Vitus. I love all that classic doom.
So now you're starting to see why we were split, because he was and I still listen to this stuff, man. I loved Saint Vitus and Born Too Late, but what I was really into at the time was this beat and thrash metal. I mean,
right. Exactly.
Yeah. So.
And I was just searching for stuff like this. Like in the next couple of years, I was dying for this kind of sound because I had a major Black Sabbath revival in my own musical life, and I was like, I want more of this. I remember Trouble. I remember Saint Vitus. Were there others? I mean, I'd never heard of Pentagram at that point. But
this next one I'm going to show easily could be 1, 2, 3, 4 for me. This is what number for me. This is number 4. It really could flip flop with any of these.
Speaking of which,
I absolutely love this band and I love this album. This is Overkill, Taking Over. I know a lot of people have criticized the cover. I've always even loved the cover on this one. The guys are all dressed in,
why? Because they have guns in their hands?
I don't know.
It could have been worse, America. It could have been something else.
I don't know. I don't care. You got Scully on the back, whatever his name is.
Oh yeah, what is that guy's name? They're shooting at him. All the barrels are pointed at their mascot guy.
You can't kill Scully though, right?
Hell no. Kind of already dead.
And this is actually despite being from New Jersey and being into thrash metal and stuff like that, I didn't discover Overkill until this record came out, and I bought it as a new release and absolutely devoured it. The thing about it was, what bugged me about this album at the time was Deny the Cross.
Oh.
But so that for some reason that song has always kind of like been a sore spot in my head. Like,
I mean, the title kind of says it all.
Yeah, basically. But other songs on here, like the Wrecking Crew, is like that is them. They are the Wrecking Crew. It's also the name of their fan site, the Wrecking Crew and stuff like that. So, Fear Is Name, Use Your Head, Fatal If Swallowed, which is...
That was a remake of the one from the EP. The only Overkill I had at the time, and I think I got it the same year, was the self-titled 4-track EP.
Yeah, this Swallowed.
And I remember Fatal If Swallowed was in there.
But my favorite song out of all is Power Surge. And I like that song so much that when Ultimatum was recording our Lex Metalis album, I begged the guys to record that song. I'm like, we gotta do Power Surge.
You?
We did.
Oh, I don't remember that one. I gotta go back and listen.
It's on Lex Metalis, yeah.
Because I knew there was a lot you were gonna do, but you didn't. I don't know if that one.
Yeah, that one made the cut. Exodus, Thrash Under Pressure didn't make the cut.
I would have loved to hear that.
And then Armed and Ready by Michael Schenker Group was...
That would have been killer.
That one we had down. We had it down, and we were going to record it, and at the last minute, Robert Gutierrez decided he would rather record the Quiet Riot cover. So we did the Quiet Riot cover instead.
Weren't you guys going to do Heavy Metal Machine by Riot, too?
Heavy Metal Machine was another one in the mix.
Oh, man, that would have been killer.
Anyhow, we're getting off the subject.
This is their first full length?
This is their second full length.
What was the first one?
Oh, you gotta kill me here.
Feel the Fire?
Feel the Fire, thank you. Yes, Feel the Fire.
Because I think
there with the fans behind them.
that one last time.
Yes, Feel the Fire. So anyhow, love this record. Like I said, recorded a cover of it. I actually wrote, when we did that covers album, I wrote all the bands and told them, we were doing a cover album. Any chance, we just want to let you know, what do you think of the idea? And a lot of the bands didn't write me back, but I got letters back from Metal Church when they said, go for it, man, let us know when it's done, we want to hear it.
I love guys like that.
I got a little letter back from Steve Rowe from Mortification. And he came.
You were tight with him for years.
Yes. And he actually came back and he's like, dude, I like your version better than ours. That's a high compliment to me.
It was Gut Wrench?
Gut Wrench,
yeah. Okay.
We got a letter back from Doug from Vengeance Rising.
Wow. Yeah.
That was easy.
Doug is the kindest and best of men.
The Musketeers, obviously, we got an okay from them.
Yes.
And
being that Alan was in the band.
And Overkill. And I don't know who it was from Overkill that said, you know, go for it. But I still, I know I still have the email. So, anyhow.
Awesome, man.
Off on the subject.
I love it when bands...
Speed, thrash, I think these guys should have been in the top Escalano bands, whatever you want to call it. I think they should have been.
I think they're definitely part of the second Big Four.
Yeah.
I would say they're part of the Big Eight.
Yeah, they should have been right up there with, in my opinion, with Slayer and Megadeth and Metallica.
Yeah. I would say like Exodus, Overkill, Testament, and...
Who else? I'm waiting to hear what you're going to say because everybody's got a different opinion.
I think I used to say Wrathchild America, but I can't. That would have been my personal, like the next Big Four after the first Big Four. Definitely Exodus.
Yeah, I might throw Death Angel in there, or Dark Angel, one of the two. Anyway.
Yeah, see, at that point you start losing me because I'm so limited with my thrash.
We'll just go top 7.
Yeah.
All right, so what are you on here?
Man,
you're on your number 3. And this one was on both our lists as well.
Yeah, and my top 4 were big ones. There's still albums that I love them. I love them. This was a bit of a change in sound for Trouble.
Yep.
A bit more refined, but this was the last we were going to hear from Trouble for a few years.
Yep.
We pretty much just thought they disappeared. So Run to the Light was the last of the first 3. You know, Psalm 9 and the Skull, very similar, I thought, to each other.
Yep.
They introduced some keyboard parts in this, which they weren't overkill, and they weren't like commercially.
No, they weren't any different than what Sabbath did with keyboards at times. Yeah.
And this has got some of my favorite stuff, I think, that Eric Wagner wrote. Thinking of the Past is one of my favorite tunes. I love that. It's a great album.
It's just not a bad song. It's solid front to back. Always liked the cover art, although there's not much to it. It's pretty simplistic.
There isn't, but I always liked it too. And especially in the early days of my own personal faith, this was a band that I went back to and kind of like revisited. And I was like, I just love the way the cover looked. This is so different from everything else at the time.
And that's why they did it. They were tired of the stereotypes that's in metal, and they wanted. I mean, they're often called a Christian band, but
they're not. I mean, Jeff Olson was not on this album.
Right.
He was the guy that was responsible for all those Christian lyrics on the first couple albums. He was the guy. Love Jeff Olson. He's gone on to do lots of stuff. What else was I going to say about this? I don't remember. I just think it's a great album.
I bought that in the House of Guitars in Rochester.
Yep.
I couldn't stop playing it.
And the first appearance, we've got Dennis Lesh on drums. He didn't last very long. I think Barry... damn, I can't remember the drummer that came in after. Barry Stern. And this is the first one we see Ron Holzner appearing on bass, who pretty much was with them through when Eric Wagner and him left and formed the Skull.
Right.
So Trouble, great legacy of doom metal. Them and Saint Vitus, and now I know Pentagram, were the first ones to really take that Sabbath sound and bring it out and do their own treatment of it.
And you know Ted Patrick is, right?
Yep.
He was with...
Yep, that's right. He
actually played with them, I think.
He auditioned for them?
No, he did more than audition because I know he had the Trouble drum set, so I think he was doing shows with them.
Okay. I know that Tourniquet did a cover of The Tempter on their Intense Live album, which was very cool.
So yeah, I don't know if he toured with them or just did some shows with them, but I remember there's a picture of him with his double bass with the Trouble logos on there and everything.
I didn't know he was with them for that, at least
I don't know
that much.
how long he was with them for, but
cool. So Trouble, can't really go wrong with Trouble.
All right, so